Take 5 with Ricovibes, the ultimate in entertainment. Live interviews, social commentary, and so much more. Go tell somebody you're now locked into Take 5 with Ricovibes.
What's up, everybody? It's yours truly, Ricovibes, and welcome to another edition of Take 5. I got a special guest in the building, Miss Ida Blanco.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm finally here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
This
Welcome.
has been a long time coming. So.
I know, but nothing happens before it's time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. You know, I want to know all about you. I've known you for several years, but just from the outside looking in.
Probably more like a couple decades, maybe.
You're right. Don't see. I didn't want to date myself or you. You know, you're dating us here.
But we look good.
Yes. I'm happy to say you look wonderful.
Thank you.
And I try to stay as young as possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Young and hot, anyway.
Absolutely. It happened quickly, though. I remember going to my first dance like it was yesterday.
Are you serious? What was the first dance you went to?
Oh, my gosh. The first stage show I went to, and I'm really going to date myself.
Oh, Lord.
But I was in primary. Was I? No, I was in high school then. Flower Gun, Red Dragon.
Ooh, you really dating yourself. Flower Gun, Red Dragon.
Yeah, that was the first stage show I ever attended. And I had to be like in my early teens then.
I'm trying to figure out the first stage show I went to. See, I'm a little bit older than you, so that'd have been Third World.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Third World, Steel Pulse, those
Okay.
guys. Still my favorite bands. Of course, from my boy Morgan Heritage, but Third World and Steel Pulse still my favorite bands, reggae bands of today.
Nice.
Yeah. So where are you from, by the way?
I am first generation American.
Okay. I would have never known that.
No one really knows. Everyone just assumes. But I'm first generation American. I was born in Boston.
Okay.
I have lived in 2 different countries and an island. My parents are Rolling Stones, so my father's from West Africa. He's from Gambia.
Okay.
But my mother is
Gambia,
from...
that's my place.
That's your place?
That's my place.
Yes. And my mother's from Montserrat.
Okay, so we're neighbors, man. I'm from Nevis.
Right.
We're
So
neighbors.
I actually moved to Montserrat when I was in 4th grade.
Really?
Yes. And I
How
was
long?
there until 4th form.
Okay.
And I came back to high school, did the last 2 years of high school, and been in America ever since. So
you were in Montserrat when Arrow was big, before Hot was big.
Yes, I was.
So you watch Montserrat became.
But
one
I
of
was
the men.
I was more into dance hall.
Oh, you were
back
into
then.
dance hall?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, because the kids in school, we were more into dance hall. So
Okay.
that's where I first experienced dance hall, and then I came back, and of course, in high school, my classmates, my best friend in high school, baby girl Chelsea, her sister, we were best friends in high school, and she's Guyanese, and then we had known Norman from Born Jamaicans. And he was the one that took us to Reggae Clubhouse back in DC for the first time.
So you grew
this
up
time
in-
I'm 16 or 17.
Wow.
I was 16. And from then I went away to college, came back.
So you left Montserrat and went to DC.
I left Montserrat, went back to Maryland, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, did 11th grade, 12th grade, went to college, had my son, came back, and, kept my first party 2001.
Wow. So what made you want to become a promoter, though?
I had been a patron for a while. See, it was different back then. Back then you had to be a patron for a little while, support people for a while
pay
before
your dues.
you had to pay your dues.
Yeah.
So my first time going out was 17. That was, what year did I graduate? 91.
Okay.
10 years later, 2001 is when I kept my first party. So, but being a patron, it was like, you think, I want to make money. I want to, and back then, we talking about back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That's when you had 12 bottles of champagne in a box, not 6,
Yep. What was it, that Baby Sham? There was the little nips and all that?
And Kanai and Alizé and all of that stuff. So I wanted to do it. I wanted to try. At that time, I was with Bashment Link Up.
Right.
Because Kimmy.
Right.
God
Was that
rest
your
her soul.
website? Because
No, that was Kimmy's.
I always thought it was yours, though.
No, Kimmy started it.
Yeah.
And she asked me to join her But she became pregnant right around the time I started taking pictures. So I kind of became the face of it. But, Bashment Link Up was created by, that was her brainchild. Kimmy created that, Wow. And then I ended up leaving Bashment Link Up and starting the Hype Zone.
Hype Zone.
Yes. And I think that's probably around the time when we met.
Yes.
Because I remember,
you did a couple of articles for. You did some stuff for me. I don't remember what it was.
And I want to say you played on one of my parties. I know Noah was there, but that was my age. That was probably the first or maybe second 80s 90s party that I kept.
It's one of them, but I remember.
And that's when we met, and that was early 2000s. Yeah. So it's been.
Was that Noah? Or was that?
It was Noah.
It was Noah. Okay.
It was Noah, and that's how I met Noah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, that's some history lessons right there.
I know.
My gosh. So you were always in the culture.
I was. Okay. And one of the things that I was very intentional about when I decided to be a promoter, I went to Jamaica and experienced dance hall in Jamaica to make sure that, all right, if this is something that I'm deciding to do, let me make sure I do this thing the right way. So I was at the Pasa Pasa and the Weddy Weddy and the Uptown Mondays and we in Tivoli and we in Augustown and went to all of these parties like literally every year, December, January. It's like
going to school.
It was. Yeah. So I knew when I took this up because, to be honest, I'm American. Let me make sure I do this and do it right.
Correct.
So I was very intentional when it came to selecting my DJs and, stuff like that, because it's like, if I'm going to represent the culture, then I'm going to do it the right way.
So you basically see the culture evolved, really.
Absolutely. I have. I've seen the culture evolve. I've seen the music evolve. I've seen the culture of dancehall evolve. But as much as things have changed, it's almost still the same.
Yeah. You're right.
It is. And it really is any region you go. Because even leaving at DMV and coming to Atlanta and being out here and there, it's just the same script, different cast.
Different cast, different players. You're right. Wow. So being an entrepreneur and as a female, what were some of your challenges that you faced? Or where do you start, right?
The biggest challenge was finding someone to even talk to help me. The first person that I spoke to about it, she wanted me to pay her.
Really?
Yeah, she did. And it was like, I just need to know what I'm getting into. So the biggest challenge was I literally had to figure out everything on my own. Wow. However, to me, I feel that's important in any business because you know your business from the ground up. Nobody can't trick you. Nobody can't tell you anything. Knowing web design from when I was doing the Hype Zone, I was able to do my own website,
right.
Doing my own flyers. I was able to do my own marketing. So it was like I don't mind learning everything. However, there was no Ida to really mentor me to say, okay, take this step, take that step. Wow. So I would say that was probably the biggest challenge.
Wow. Now, the all-white party that you used to do, I don't know if you do it anymore.
No.
Was that the first party that you did? Was it always the all-white? Or?
It wasn't. It was more so my birthday bash in the beginning.
Okay.
And the first theme that I chose was Army Affair.
Okay.
Borrowed it from New York because at the time New York had the best theme parties. Brooklyn, yes.
New York is
it is.
That's the Mecca. That's the Mecca.
Back then we used to go up there and just be in awe. I'm talking about like the Angela Strikers and the Big Belly Derricks and the Joy Cash and Neil Pearls and all of those. That was during my era of going to New York. Right. And the second year I switched the theme to Denim Affair. Third year I switched it to all white, and that was the biggest one. And I just kept the theme all white from there. And eventually it stopped being Ida's birthday bash and started being Ida's all white. But it was supposed to be my birthday. Yes.
Prince Royal, how did you guys, I know you guys are close.
Yes.
How did you guys hook up?
Gosh, we met through dance hall. Okay. I don't remember how or where or when or why, because it's been like 25 years almost.
You guys are almost like brothers and sisters.
We are. Yeah. We really are.
I actually admire your relationship because wherever you go, you see you two, and people always say they're together. And I'm like, I think they're just friends.
Oh,
We're not people gonna talk.
They've been saying that for years. It's gotten to the point where we don't even pay them.
Yeah. But I know you guys.
Yeah. Prince is. Prince and I have always been close. Right. But when my younger brother died, he really stepped in. Not to say he could fill that role or fill that void, but he really, and I don't know if he was aware if that's what he was doing, but he really stepped in, and we're like brother and sister. We argue all the time. We disagree all the time.
That's what family does, though.
I threaten to beat him up all the time. That's what family does. But as a DJ, not just my friend, like, to me, he's one of the best out there.
Underrated.
Hands down.
Underrated.
You know, and he also, we talk a lot about music and, you know, I ask him a lot of questions, and I think Prince is probably a big reason why I know so much about music the way I do. So.
Did he get you into radio, or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around. Ablaze actually came to me because I was a guest on someone's show, and he was like, Ida, you need your own show. And I didn't want to do it by myself. So I said, all right, Prince. And Prince was like, all right, Ida, because it's you, I'll do it with you. And then we had this chemistry already. Being online, it was just like, you know, somebody said to me, it was like, there are people out there that are fans of Ida and Prince, the friendship.
I am.
Right. Like, you have people that respect you and love you. You have people that love and respect Prince, but there are people that really love and respect the type of friendship you guys have. And I'm like, that's my brother.
Because you don't see that too much anymore. And if you do see it, it doesn't last.
It doesn't.
You know, so when you see it going on for years upon years, you have to admire it.
And we had a period of time when we fell out. We didn't talk for about a year, I think it was.
I think every friendship goes through that.
Nobody knew.
Right.
And by the time a mutual friend put us together, neither one of us remembered why we weren't speaking. So we were able to pick up where we left off. So, you know, we have our ups and downs just like everybody else. But at this point, it's like, you know.
Talk about the fashion side of Ida.
The fashion side of it.
Because I remember, you know, you was it Solji boutique?
Saggio Boutique. So after my brother passed away, I started really looking at life differently. And I was like, there has to be more to it than just me working a 9-to-5 and partying. And I was like, okay, I can make money off of my name other than just keeping my parties once or twice a year. So I made the decision to start an online store.
Right.
I wanted to actually have an actual physical store, but I said, you know what, let me start off online where my rent is only $30 and really learn the business and learn what I'm getting into. And it just grew and grew to the point where I left my job and, you know, pursued it full time. And it was doing really well. But the move here to Atlanta it coincided with my divorce. And really me starting life over. Gotcha. So I put the boutique on hold, but once I wanted to pick it back up, there was a little bit of hesitation there for me. And I realized it was because when I formed the boutique, it was based around my life where I was at the time. Partying, promoter, nightlife, you know, the clothing reflected that. I'm at a different phase in my life right now.
Gotcha.
So it was hard for me to go back to that because it's
almost like taking a step backwards.
Yeah, and I could have changed the marketing towards women like me who used to party, still go out every now and then, like to look cute, but it was like, you know, when God opens another door for you, you have to let go of what you're holding on to really receive it. So I still have people that have clothing and still wear it and tag me to this day. So I just loved looking cute.
It was different. The fashion, the styles were different.
It was. I loved looking cute, and that's all it was. It was like, I wouldn't say I'm a fashionista or I'm into fashion and I know what's on the runway. I just like to look cute. And I wanted other females to look cute, but at an affordable price. So that was it. So Saggio, I kept the name. It's now a production company.
Okay.
Saggio Productions, yes.
Okay. But before you get to that, you also became an author.
I did. Gosh, I've done a lot, Rico.
Yeah. I mean, I followed your journey all the way. Wow. What made you want to write a book?
It was actually my supporters.
Okay.
I think social media kind of gives you more of an insight into people's character. And social media allowed people to see a little bit more of who I am as a person. And I started a blog. And there was an unfortunate incident that happened in 2007 where I got locked up and my party got shut down.
Okay.
And I wrote about that. No, that wasn't it. It was an incident where I had gotten locked up with someone I was dating at the time. That's what it was. Okay. And I wrote about it in the blog. Really, it was just a marketing ploy. I wanted to drive traffic to the blog because it's like, I'm writing on Facebook. That's not my platform. Right. Let me start building my own platform and using Facebook to market it.
Gotcha.
So I told a story that I never spoke on, but was spoke about throughout the DMV, New York, Jamaica, all over. Because I was in jail for 2 weeks.
Were they getting it right or were they getting it wrong?
No, they were all getting it wrong.
Okay, so you had to set the record straight.
I was a big time drug dealer.
Really?
And
I never heard that one.
That was it. That was one of them. I was moving weight out of a warehouse.
Wow.
And they pulled up and locked me up.
Back then?
I couldn't even put myself on, Rico.
Wow.
I mean, there were so many stories that came out, so I just used it as an opportunity. But the people that read it were like, wow, you're an amazing writer. You're a really good writer. And it's a passion of mine. I love to read. And I've always wanted to write a book. So I was like, you know what? Let me write a fictional tale. And at the time, I was really going through a divorce. I was looking for something to kind of take my mind off of that dark space that I was in. And I focused on these characters and wrote this novel over 2 years. And it was really good.
What was the name of it?
Love and Dance Hall.
That's right. Love and Dance.
Love and Dance.
Obviously, people embraced it.
They did, surprisingly. So much so that they're still harassing me, rightfully so, about part 2. Because I wrote it with a cliffhanger, a serious cliffhanger, with the intentions of making it a 3-part story. But my career has picked up so much that I really haven't had the time to really sit down and write.
And speaking of your career, you're now doing production.
Yes.
Was that by design or did you just
not at all?
You stumbled into it.
I stumbled into it. Again, moving to Atlanta, it really wasn't my decision.
Okay.
My ex-husband wanted to move, and I was like, okay, let's do it. We got here. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. I made the decision to stay, but with that decision came me starting over.
Gotcha. From
scratch. So I was looking for a job and trying to get back into, 9 to 5. And I'm either overqualified or, it was so many different things. And at the time it was Beware. You're familiar with Beware. He was like, well, they're looking for a production assistant on Iyanla Fix My Life. It's only going to be for 6 weeks. You want me to pass your resume along? I was like, all right. I gave him the resume. He put it in the right hands. They called me. I drove down from Maryland because I was up there, helping my niece. And the next day they called back and was like, can you start on Monday? Wow. And what was supposed to have been 6 weeks had turned into 2 seasons. And almost 5 years later, we'd say 4.5 years later, I have risen quickly. It happened. I've covered more ground in 4 years than they say usually takes people like 7 to 10 years. Yeah. And it's...
obviously you're enjoying it.
I love it. I didn't even know. I had no idea. I would have never thought to have gotten into television. Almost like radio. I would have never, if Ablaze didn't say, hey, I wouldn't have done it. And then you believed in us so much so that the first night you were like, hey, we want to syndicate you guys. Yeah. And then another guy in New York. So it was like, it's almost the same thing with this television thing. So once I really settled into it, it's like, okay, let me see how far I can go. Wow. Yeah, let me see how far I can go. And I've been going.
So has it been the same show? You've been working on various
shows. So it's almost like independent contractors.
Gotcha.
So a show can take anywhere from 2 weeks to film a season to 6 months.
Okay.
So I'll typically work on 3 to 4 shows a year.
Okay.
Which I love because it gives me the flexibility to do my own thing in between. Like I decided I'm taking 3 months off and I took 3 months off. But it's grueling. We're talking about 12, 16-hour days. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but I love it.
And what exactly do you do?
I am an art director.
Okay.
So my job is to the look, the feel, the design of the set. For instance, I just did College Hill season 2. Okay. And what we do with that is we rent this huge mansion and it's completely empty. And it's my job to completely decorate it for the cast to then move in, and we film 24 hours there at the house. I'm actually about to go to New York for a couple of months, and this is a true crime show. So we're doing reenactments. Okay. So, you know, it's everything from making sure we have the right props to the set but it's interesting because I get to see how it's a little bit different it's basically interior design, but it's different in terms of lighting and camera.
Gotcha. What looks good on
what looks good because we may have the table turned sideways for the angle to shoot it, but in the actual picture, you know, it looks like you're looking directly at it. Lighting makes such a big difference. And, you know, just understanding all the components that go into making this happen. It's amazing. It's really amazing to see what people go through to create what we sit and just consume. Yeah.
Well, where do you see this going? Do you see another tier of you going to some?
Absolutely. So the next level up from this is production designer. Okay. And in terms of this lane within production, that's the top of the chain. Okay. Those are the ones where they're constructing sets. Gotcha. Like, I mean, big scale. It could be award shows. It could be concerts. It could be movie sets. Production designers are really like top of the top. So that is the next step. We'll see how long it takes me. Ultimately, it's executive producer.
Okay. How about directing? I could see you.
No. I've really taken the time to pay attention to camera, lighting, audio, ask all the necessary questions. But even the producers, but this lane has the most creativity in terms of I have more freedom to kind of create a canvas for the director to essentially paint on. So I like where I am, but I can still get in the role of executive producer. But what I realize is a lot of people that work in television have their own side passion projects. So right now I have ideas about content and shows that I want to film. And, you know, I have the crew. So it's just a matter of me really buckling down and saying, okay, I'm going to start producing my own shows. But that's the next step for me.
How about the part 2 and the part 3 of the book?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that this year, folks.
There's no timetable on that, I take it.
I want to do it this year. I ideally wanted to launch it by my birthday in June, but it's not happening. I'm experiencing serious writer's block.
Okay. You're doing so much, though.
Yeah, but it's like to just sit there. It comes to me in like waves. So when it comes, I'll type, I'll work on it, but then it's just nothing. So, and then I am an overachiever, and I always put a lot of pressure on myself to outdo my last effort in everything.
So you're probably your worst critic.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm my biggest and harshest critic, but I'm also my biggest cheerleader.
Gotcha.
And loudest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What does your son think about what do you do?
He tells me all the time he's so proud of me. Like How
old is he?
He's 20. He'll be 29 in April.
29?
Yes. Listen, I say this proudly. Whoa. I'll be 50 next year.
Are you serious?
As I look into the camera.
You look incredible.
Thank you. I've lived a lot of lives, but right now I feel like I'm living another one. You know, this is just I get paid to decorate something I love.
Right.
Initially, when I went to college, my major was interior design. So it's coming back full circle.
Full circle.
They pay me. They put me up.
Wow.
You know.
Where have you been? Some of the places you've been?
New Orleans.
Yeah.
That has been my favorite city by far to work in. I've worked there twice. The food is amazing. The culture is just...
Of course. Similar to Caribbean.
Yes. Yeah. People, it's just... I love New Orleans. Yeah. Houston. California twice.
Okay.
LA and Santa Rosa. Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
And now I'm going to New York, and all the other shows have been here locally in Atlanta.
So nothing overseas yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I do remind every executive producer that I have a passport.
And you're free to travel back and forth.
I can travel back and forth. Yeah. I have no young kids at home. I have no responsibility. I can go at a moment's notice. But yes, that is the goal, to work overseas. And it's possible. A lot of folks that I've worked with, this is a small industry.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we do different shows, so many different shows in a year, you end up working with a lot of the same people.
Wow.
So, and a lot of folks have had the opportunity to work abroad. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Would you ever get back into a marriage situation?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought that first one might have soured you.
No, from the time it ended, I was very clear that I wanted to get married again. I love being married. Okay. I love the institution of marriage. I love the union of it. And just because it didn't work out, I'm not going to give up on it. Have I started dating yet? No.
I think you're a little bit too busy to do that.
Everybody finds time to do things. But
if you really want to do it.
I took some time to myself to kind of just focus on being, whole again. Because divorce is, they say it's like death.
How long were you married for?
We were together 6 years and then married 2.5 years on top of that.
Okay.
So it was rough.
Really?
The divorce part? Yeah, it was. It really was. But I had to kind of hold myself accountable. And that's how I was able to really move forward.
Accountable for?
My role.
Your role.
And my choice. No one held a gun to my head. And as women, we tend to want to victimize ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, you did this to me, or you did that, or I deserve better, or you... But you're sitting here allowing these things to take place in hopes that he will treat you differently, but he hasn't. You have to own that.
True. Not
saying you deserve it.
True.
But you got to own the choice to put up with it. And that was me. I had to own it like, Yeah. And that's when I was able to put that to bed and then start moving forward. Yeah.
If you had to mentor a young lady today, in terms of women empowerment and all that stuff, what would you say to her?
That's my passion.
Yeah.
That's my passion. And that's something that I want to, I've actually developed an empowerment brand.
Really?
I have. I developed it last year, and I'm waiting because I'm one of those where I'll do something and wait for the right time to launch it. I used to be, let me hurry up and do this by a certain time until I understand God's timing. So now it's like I'm gonna prepare, so that when the opportunity presents itself,
you're ready.
Hit go. And I haven't felt it yet, but I really want to launch it with my next Women's Empowerment Brunch.
Okay.
But in terms of young girls, it's most of my messages that I post on social media are really to them, because I remember being in my 20s and having absolutely no guidance at all, and I really wish someone sat and told me the importance of loving myself.
Right. Wow.
Because it all starts and ends there for females. I can't speak for men, but I could speak for females, and what loving yourself really means and what it really entails.
Got it.
Got it. And don't put too much pressure on yourself to have it all figured out. As females, we tend to, especially you in your 20s, and if you have a child and you want to figure everything out and you're supposed to be doing this, and you put all this pressure on yourself, it just take things one day at a time, because life changes.
Oh, yeah.
Drastically.
When you least expect it.
Yeah, take it from us.
Yeah.
We've been through a couple of changes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, you always, there's a blessing in that, In every difficult moment, there's a blessing in it, but you have to look for it. Yeah.
How does folks follow you? Or do you want folks to follow you?
Sure. Ida Blanco. You find me everywhere on social media. Right. Ida_Blanco on IG. I'm Ida Blanco on Facebook, Twitter. Ida Blanco, TikTok, Ida Blanco.
How can they purchase the book?
loveanddancehall.com.
Okay.
loveanddancehall.com. The goal is, and I've murmured it a few times, but I would love to turn this into a series. Initially, it was a movie, but after watching what 50 Cent has been able to do with the Power Universe, I'm one. They always say you're like, what? Is it 2 people away from someone?
True.
Now I feel like it's 1. I feel like you're 1 person away from the and I literally worked with the line producer who does BMF. And I'm like, okay, I'm 1 person away from 50. And I feel like this script would be something that he would definitely take an interest in.
You think he would get into the dance hall arena?
I think he would.
Yeah.
I think he would. Coming from New York, he's familiar with the culture.
He is.
And if not 50, then somebody else. I had the pleasure of working closely with Tracy Edmonds,
okay,
who really mentored me.
Really?
Yes.
That's Babyface's ex-wife, and she does a lot of production as well.
She is a executive producer extraordinaire, and this woman held my hand through the process and has challenged me, has given me a challenge that I am determined to make happen. So,
what was the challenge?
She wants me to create a production design firm.
Really? And did she give you a time frame?
She did not.
Okay.
She did not. This was back in October. She said, I want you to create a production design firm. And I looked at her in her eyes and I was like, say less. But it is being the one that's always motivating and encouraging and providing opportunities for other people, to have someone of her stature look at me and say, you can do this. Because she wouldn't challenge me if she didn't feel like I could get it done. And I feel like I owe it to her to make that happen. So I'm currently enrolled in interior design course to learn more about lighting and texture and, you know, all of that. I know how to decorate. Right. But now I need to understand the principles and theories behind it. So, and now I'm in a position to hire. So I've hired my first, you know, assistant, and it's a young lady. I do want to definitely give more opportunities to women like me, women of color. I said when I got to a certain point, I would hold the door open for other people. That's good. And now I'm at that point where I can hold the door open for others. So it's a blessing. Yeah. Even talking about this, what is it, a 20-year, 30-year journey?
Yeah, that's, I mean.
It is amazing to even.
But I've seen the growth, though. Over the years, I've seen the growth.
And, you know, shout out to my supporters. Because from keeping a party to being an entrepreneur to my women's empowerment brand to my being an author, even them cheering for me as much as they do now, watching me rise in this industry, they almost play a role in me pushing myself as much as I do.
Because you don't want to let them down.
I don't. And I know I'm inspiring a lot of them as well. So if they look at me like constantly going, no matter how many times I get knocked down, then my hopes is to inspire them to do the same and not give up.
Especially being an African American woman.
Yeah. And especially since my brother gave up.
Gotcha.
And he called me the day before and I didn't answer the call. So a lot of this is guilt. However, it's like, if I can save one person from feeling like what you're going through is it, I can't take it, I can't deal with it, this is the end of the world, it's not. It's not. And that's my overall message. It's not. You will rise. Just like the sun falls out the sky every day, it gets back up the next day. And so will you. So if I can get that message out, and initially it's been women, but men have been reaching out to me and talking to me more. And it's like, Ida, you know, we need this kind of stuff too. So I think people see the growth. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm at a point now where I want that too. So I've developed a brand around that as well.
I see you getting emotional talking about your brand.
I am, because it's we were, you know, and he's my motivation.
Gotcha.
He's my why.
Gotcha.
People ask me why, it's like him, because he saw all of this.
Did he?
He did. He saw all of this. He said, I see you doing so much. Was he older or was he younger? Younger. He's 4 years younger. He said, I see you doing so much more. He saw me he always compared me to Oprah. Always. Wow. And I was just content with working and throwing my dance and partying on the weekend, and I was good. You know what I mean? Go to Miami, go to Jamaica. I'm like, all right. But no, my brother was like, no, you can do so much more. Like, you're going to impact a lot of people. And I couldn't see it back then. So to now be in this space where my actions are impacting people, then it's like, I'm making him proud.
I mean, we can go on for hours, but
we could. I know you're a busy man.
It's certainly a pleasure, man. I didn't know 3/4 of your story.
Yeah, one day I'm gonna write an autobiography.
Yeah, you should.
When I start doing these women's empowerment events, I'm gonna share more, because there's a lot of layers. Yeah, been through a lot, but you know, I just want to inspire.
But do you feel stronger now?
Oh yeah, I feel more powerful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel more powerful. This move to Atlanta was like a complete 180, but it set me on a totally different path. Mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, everything. This is it's the same Ida, but you know, everything else is completely changed, and I love it here. Absolutely best thing I ever did.
You've been successful here. So that's a good thing.
That is true. It didn't happen right away. It was a slow start. So, I always tell people that starting over, it doesn't kick in right away. But I was committed to making it work, and I loved it here. So Atlanta has been good to me.
That's good. Folks, I can't say much more about this young lady. She's 50, but she's a young lady. Well, she's gonna be 50, I should say.
I will next year. I'm gonna throw a huge party.
Really?
What?
That's a milestone, of course.
Huge party.
Of course. Got people from Jamaica,
all over,
Maryland, New York.
I'm gonna do it here.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it here. I'm gonna throw a huge. It's a celebration.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Folks, you've been watching Take 5. My special guest today, Miss Ida Blanco. Follow her on social media. Follow her journey, because she's still got a lot more to go.
Oh.
A lot more to go.
Oh, I received that.
There you go.
Thank you.
There you go. Put it in the universe.
Amen.
Catch it. And we'll catch you next time on another edition of Take 5.
This episode of Take 5 with Ricovibes is brought to you by
I know the ladies.
Join us this and every Sunday for Memory Lane Sundays at Premier Restaurant and Lounge, featuring music by some of Atlanta's top DJs, playing the best oldies but goodies.
You think I love
Complimentary chicken with rice and peas with drink purchase. Doors open 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. sharp. Free parking, free admission, and free food. Dining, drinking, dancing, and hookahs each and every Sunday at Memory Lane Sundays. Inside Premier Restaurant and Lounge, 6924 Main Street in Lithonia.